Thomas Paine, Sam Adams, Benjamin Franklin. These men spoke up for what they thought was right. From their courage came such documents as the Declaration of Independence and the Constitution of the United States. From their willingness to speak what was sometimes unpopular but right, we enjoy such liberties as freedom of speech, the right to keep and bear arms, and freedom of religion. There are those who still wish to oppress our freedoms, and there are still patriots willing to stand up and defend life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness. Men like Zeb Bell, who honor our founding fathers and what they stood for. It's now time for Zeb at the Ranch, speaking up and defending your freedoms. Brought to you by Magic Valley Les Schwab Tire Centers and all of the other great advertisers on the program. And now, Zeb Bell.
Do you know what is the most common remark made by us older folks when we enter an antique store? Here it is. Holy cow! I remember these. Good morning, everybody, and Merry Christmas, everybody. Here comes Kate Smith, and God bless America. Have a good morning, a good Monday. Oh, thank you very much, Kate Smith, and God bless America. Thank you, and good morning, and Merry Christmas. Zeb at the Ranch. I'm Zeb Bell with our major sponsor, your Magic Valley Les Schwab Tire Centers. All 7 locations serving you, along with our friends and great advertisers, Western Waste Services, always at your disposal. Call, get on the route service today. Really good people, locally owned and operated, 734-6969. Right now, let's go to the telephone and see if we have a Pledge of Allegiance person. Good morning.
Good morning, Zeb. I thought of Al this morning. I hope Polly's listening.
All right. Go ahead, please.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
You know, it's been a long time since you've called in, and I want to say it's really a treat to hear your voice again. Thank you so much for your thoughts. I appreciate it. Thanks.
Okay, have a good one.
All right, sir. God bless you. Thank you much. Oh, it is blowing and snowy outside, and both Goober and I are very, very worried because my son, his wife, and their kids are coming up from, they were down in Elko, and they're coming up here, hopefully to have a pre-Christmas dinner with us today. And, oh boy, I hope the roads are okay for them. So our prayers and thoughts are with Jake and Shanna and the kids. Make it safely, please. Right now it's time for the weather, and the weather is brought to you by Cheney Flooring and Home Design at 1228 Oakley Avenue in Burley. Look for the blue door. All your carpet and flooring, kitchen construction, home decor items. Hey, give somebody a gift card for the flooring and the cabinets and everything. Oh, what a great gift at Cheney Flooring and Home Design. Look for the blue door. And right now, here's the weather.
We are in a winter weather advisory up until 5 o'clock tomorrow morning. That means snow showers are in the forecast, plus with the wind, that means drifting snow. With all of the rain showers last night, it did create black ice conditions, so please just be careful out there. We are expecting anywhere between 1 and 5 inches of snow today. High at 31, overnight low of 21. Tomorrow, winds dying down just a little bit. We might see some sunshine, high of 27 with an overnight low of 19. Mostly cloudy and 30 for Wednesday, and more snow showers are expected for Thursday. Yesterday's high was 42, and the overnight low was 30. That's your weather for Zeb at the Ranch.
Gina, thank you very much. Very well done, as always. Don't forget all the new flooring, tile, wood, carpet, everything in all the colors at Cheney Flooring and Home Design. They wish you and yours a very Merry Christmas at 1228 Oakley Avenue in Burley. Look for the blue door. Okay, here's the deal, folks. I had quite a few calls over the weekend Yes, we will be at Denny's Restaurant on Wednesday morning for the entire program. It's the Denny's Old Fashioned Merry Christmas. This Wednesday, Zeb at the Ranch will be there live. We're going to have the great, outstanding members of the Burley Choir, Burley High School Choir, are going to be there singing Christmas carols, and we're going to have door prizes given away. We're going to have Santa Claus there. Oh, my goodness. Loot in the Boot, Ken Mort singing. Oh, it's going to be a fun time this Wednesday at Denny's Restaurant, 611 Overland in Burley. And come on down and have some fun with us as we really celebrate Christmas at Denny's Restaurant. Thank you very much. Oh, by the way, too, if you hurry and get in today or tomorrow, I'll bet you Kevin and Cindy would work overtime to make sure that they can get all the stains out of your tablecloth from Thanksgiving. Oh, my goodness, it looks like an Appaloosa. You've got all the cranberry and the gravy and the dressing stains, and somebody spilled the hot wax. Holy smokes from the candles. Oh, my, get it in there today at Darrow's Cleaners, 1223 Albion Avenue in Burley. Kevin and Cindy, absolutely the best for all your cleaning needs. Darrow's Cleaners in Burley, the best. And you know, when we mention those words, the best, we also have to talk about our friends at SafeLink Internet. And they want to wish you and yours a very, very Merry Christmas. And the number to call to get on the program, no contract options, no credit checks, unlimited data, and it is Idaho's #1 choice for wireless internet. 18 years and counting. SafeLink Internet, 677-8000. That number again, 677-8000, serving you. Wow, what a weekend. I've got to tell you that if you think for 5 seconds there is not an assault on Christmas, listen to some of these stories, and I'm going to have some more during the course of the hour. Where did this school principal in New York State get all of her power? Where did she come up with this? A school principal in New York State said no to Santa Claus, said no, and you will be punished if you say Merry Christmas in the school halls, no to the Pledge of Allegiance, no to Thanksgiving. What? Who is this person? And where does she assume all this power? This is nuts. She should be fired as soon as possible. And parents say that they're outraged, and hopefully they will get her removed. Just think about this, ladies and gentlemen. No to saying Merry Christmas in the halls. Now we're going to legislate free speech and stopping the happiness and all the greatness of camaraderie to mankind during the Christmas season. Oh my, I heard little Johnny telling Susie Merry Christmas or vice versa, and they're going to be punished for it? And no to our Pledge of Allegiance at a time when our country is under siege with Muslim killers and terrorism. No to the Pledge of Allegiance, no to Santa Claus, no to Thanksgiving, and she's getting away with this? Absolutely needs to be unemployed, fired. Give me a call, 436-2244, 1-866-927-4587. I want to say, too, that I'm very appreciative of all of our advertisers and all of our sponsors right here on Zeb at the Ranch, including our dear friends over at Ramsey Heating and Electric at 2600 Overland Avenue in Burley. They get in there and start everything happening at 7:30 in the morning till 5, Monday through Friday. And they've got all your heating and electrical needs. Oh, take care of your furnace. Treat it like your best friend. And don't forget, they've got all the furnace filters right there at Ramsey Heating and Electric. Yep, 2600 Overland Avenue in Burley, where they provide warm winters and cool summers. Caller, I'll be right there. Stand by. Don't forget, too, Our friends at Minnecasia Sales bringing you Dr. History, and that's Zach and the whole crew. They're open 8 to 4:30 Monday through Friday, and they're located at 1321 East Main Street in Burley. Your windows with the Western windows, all the lumber packages, and the Tartar Farm and Ranch gates and panels, they've got it all for you. Don't forget Zach and the crew at Minnecasia Sales, 1321 East Main Street in Burley, bringing you Dr. History. Good morning, caller. You're on the air.
Yes, good morning, Zach.
Hello, Tony.
How are you this morning?
I'm good. Both Deanne and I are good, very good. Looking forward to having our son and my daughter-in-law come up for lunch today with the kids. But what's on your mind this morning?
Well, our neighbors to the north. You know, that bunch of left-wings that took Canada over?
Yeah.
They're planning to bring 25,000 Syrians in beginning in February of 2016.
Yeah.
Yeah, my concerns are probably 10 to 20% of them will end up disappearing because they're terrorists, and they're going to come right across that border into our country.
It's very possible. It's very, very possible, and not out of the realm of a distinct possibility. I absolutely don't know why everybody can't just stop and say, let's use some common sense. Let's get this problem under control. Let's find out who these people are and what their motives are, and then progress slowly. But we have a liberal loon mindset in this country and all over the world that we're being bigots and hate mongers if we stop, slow down, and smell the coffee before we jump into a potential mess. This is idiocy.
Well, we're kind of like the wagon train. We're being surrounded from the north, from the south, and both coasts, you know.
Well, I agree with you.
What do we do about it? England's already overrun with Muslims. And you think Trudeau would have learned something from it.
Well, you know, Tony, I've taken a lot of criticism, and I don't care. People say, oh, well, you're a hate monger, you're a bigot, you're a racist, and all that. And I just say, well, you're an idiot, because if you want to call me those names, at least have the decency and somewhat professionalism to call me on this program and do it over the air. Nobody has the guts to do that. But I'll tell you what, as far as the Times News, as far as the College of Southern Idaho, as far as liberal Democrats, just basically saying, oh, the hate mongers on the right, oh, the conservatives, they don't love people, they just don't want to take them in. Listen, I don't care. I want to have security for my family. I want to make sure that everything's done right. According to James Comey at the FBI and also Homeland Security with Mike McCall, we have a problem of not getting the information necessary. So let's put the brakes on and say stop until we do.
That's right. These school kids today have no idea what our government's doing to them.
Yeah, that's the truth. Tony, to you and Mary...
Yeah, but I won't take up any more of your time.
You're not ever taking up my time. God bless you and Merry Christmas. Thank you so much.
Okay.
All right, buddy. Very, very nice people right there, Tony and Mary. Hey, by the way, the Book Plaza with Colonel Dale. And give me a call, 436-2244, 1-866-927-4587. The Book Plaza at 222 West 11th Street in Burley with Colonel Dale. Oh, 3 floors. 3 floors of books, gifts, and jewelry. Thousands and thousands of books. Holy cow. And don't forget, register for the big Christmas giveaway where you can win over $1,000 in prizes, gifts, and cash. My goodness, register at the store. The Book Plaza, 222 West 11th Street in Burley. Wishing you and yours a very Merry Christmas. Really nice people over at, of course, our friends at the Book Plaza. Thank you very much. It's your turn. Give me a call, 436-2244, 1-866-927-4587. You're not going to believe this one. I'm going to kind of give you a potpourri of the news this morning. The dim and not real, I don't know. This girl, this woman leaves me with a very cold feeling when I listen to her on the television or radio. Debbie Wasserman Schultz, chairperson of the Democratic Party, she says that the American taxpayers, you and I, should fund the millions of dollars necessary for the Democratic National Convention. Chew on that for just a moment. She, Debbie Wasserman Schultz, wants you and me to reach into our wallets, our purses, our pockets, and send the Democrats about $20 million so that the Democratic National Convention can be funded. Now, let me stop right there and say that the GOP, the Republican Convention, has their money. They have their bank account. They're not asking you to fund them. Why would anybody in their right mind want to send any money to the Democratic National Convention funding? Can you believe these people? Absolutely nuts. Absolutely nuts. Oh, by the way, talking about politicians, funny how that went right along with absolutely nuts and then going right again to another political story. Tomorrow night in Las Vegas, another GOP debate. And 9 candidates will be standing up there in kind of a semicircle, moon-shaped type atmosphere. 9 candidates in the big debate tomorrow night. And yes, I will, yours truly, will be taking notes and finding out who didn't do so good and who did relatively well. We'll have that tomorrow. Little boy, about 8-9 years old, listen to this story and then give me a call, wears a Star Wars t-shirt to school. Okay? It's Star Wars. It's the big thing again. Yeah, I mean, I am not into that type of thing. I don't think I ever saw, other than maybe bits and pieces, of the original Star Wars. I'm not into that Star Trek-y type stuff. But anyway, a little boy wore a Star Wars t-shirt to school, and the school officials rushed over to him and demanded that he cover up the t-shirt or take it off and wear something else. Now, you're probably saying, why? Well, I did too. The reason that the school officials said, oh, you can't wear that Star Wars t-shirt to school, was because it had a movie picture of a Star Wars trooper on it holding a weapon. I'm not kidding. They said, the school said, it was way too disruptive and way too suggestive for violence. Haven't we got a little bit over on the psycho side of things? Caller, I'll be right there with you. Don't go away, please. I'll stand right there with your phone call in just a moment. I had a nice talk last week with Nick over at Burley Physical Therapy and Rehabilitation, and today, right after the program, I'm going to be calling him to start my scheduled workouts again at Burley Physical Therapy and Rehabilitation on my hip, 1263 Bennett Avenue, Suite 2 in Burley. All the exercises, all the sports medicine. They've got the only hydrotherapy pool with the treadmill. Oh, yeah, that's the place to go to help you get back to being you. Call them for an appointment at 678-1191. 678-1191. Burley Physical Therapy and Rehabilitation. Caller, thank you. You're on the air.
You're welcome, sir. Anytime.
All right, buddy.
Hey, yeah, it's scary what we're seeing on the news and what I'm reading. And this poor kid, I mean, what is a T-shirt going to do?
Oh, my gosh. Oh, my gosh.
My personal opinion, and everybody's entitled to one. Some have more than others, and some are more obnoxious than others. But mine is, they're doing this. They're doing you can't have guns and guns and guns. So the kids growing up nowadays will be afraid of guns and won't want one.
Oh, yeah. Yeah.
That's my opinion.
Well, think about it, though, clothing. Now, we have had many, many stories on this program about someone where, and I did, and I'm proud of it, and I do it again today just to stick it in their face. When I was in high school, I belonged to a church group, and we had T-shirts and shirts, and every Thursday when we had those meetings, we would wear the shirts. Today, that would be thrown out of school because that would be, you can't do that. You can't promote any church in school. And then, of course, people that might have a T-shirt that says something about hunting. You can't wear that. Something about the NRA. You can't wear that. I mean, we're living in so-called innocuous times to where you can't wear anything. And now saying to this person that they can't wear a movie T-shirt of Star Wars, Doug, this is crazy.
It is. It really is. And I guess the conservatives in that, we need to stop turning the other cheek and stand up and say, bite me.
Yeah, or worse.
I'm sorry. I'm really trying to be radio friendly.
Yeah, but wait a minute, though. What you touched on, and then I got to do a hard break here in a minute, but what you touched on is, okay, good. Doug Martin said this. Zeb Bell said this. But you know what? Actions speak louder than words. We need to stand up en masse and say enough to that superintendent, or that principal in New York that said no to the pledge, no to Santa Claus, no to saying Merry Christmas. Every single student in that class should say Merry Christmas, and they should revolt.
Yes, they should. And all the parents, I mean, if they need to stand up and they need to take that administration, that principal to task.
Yeah.
Especially that one that said you can't say Merry Christmas.
Absolutely. I'm one of these kind of guys that when you tell me or my children that they couldn't celebrate Merry Christmas, no to Santa Claus, no to the Pledge of Allegiance, every child should stand up and say, my dad fought in the Marines or my dad was in the Navy. I pledge allegiance. And they should do it right there and absolutely suffer the consequences of a stupid liberal society.
Yep, stand up, do it. Let them expel them. Let's take this thing to court. I mean, they're doing it, and it's not legal what they're doing. They're just being a bully.
Yeah, that is.
The way to treat a bully is just hit them right between the eyes.
There you go. That is the best way to say it. The liberal left is being nothing more than a bully. Doug, I got to run, buddy. Thank you so much. God bless you.
Have mercy on us.
All right, sir.
Merry Christmas to everybody.
There you go. I like that. Thank you. Caller, I'll be right there. Don't forget our dear friends at Clark's for Shopping, 100 East Main Street in Oakley. Oh, my goodness, they got all the breakfast sausage. It's delicious. Delicious. In bulk patties or links at Clark's for Shopping in Oakley, and they wish you a very Merry Christmas. Along with some dear, dear friends of ours, Riverview Urgent Care Center, 382 North Overland in Burley, 133 West Avenue A in Jerome, and coming soon to Twin Falls. Kyle and the rest of the crew at Riverview Urgent Care say Merry Christmas. Along with our dear buddy, Scott Gano. Yes, sir, Scott Gano Landscaping. They are the best. 336 South, 450 West of Hayburn, 438-2485. Merry Christmas. Good morning, caller. You're on the air.
Good morning. It strikes my mind if a child went to school with the burqa on and a sword, would he be taken up on the stage and given allocate?
Yeah, it's a good question, Helen, because right now we're so apologetic and we are so lenient to what's going on with Islam in our country. I doubt seriously that anything would be done or said.
I don't think it would either. They would praise him to the skies. You know, this world is so corrupt, so upside down, that it bothers me. The only thing that gives me any hope at all is it's getting closer to the coming of Christ.
Amen. 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 God bless you and your wonderful husband, and Merry Christmas.
Merry Christmas to you.
I love those folks. Thank you very much. Calls welcome, 436-2244, 1-866-927-4587. Holy buckets, I got to get this in here. I'm running late. Don't forget Mount Harrison Audiology and Hearing Aids with the lovely Dr. Christine Pickup. Oh, does she know hearing? She was on the air with me last Thursday, and after she was off the air, I had a couple of calls after the program. Boy, I'm telling you, people say, well, what's that number? I need to go over and get a hearing screening. So I gave them this number of 312-0957. She's She's located right across from the Minidoka Hospital Emergency Room, Mount Harrison Audiology and Hearing Aids. Don't lose your hearing, and it's not advanced by old age. You check with her today. Mount Harrison Audiology and Hearing Aids, 312-0957. Caller, I will take your call, and then I'm going to give away a half dozen Sophie's cinnamon rolls. Go ahead. You're on the air quickly.
Zeb?
Yes.
Can we shift gears just a little bit?
Well, real fast. Go ahead, Bob.
I'm really upset with Cassia County and the city of Burley.
Why is that, Bob?
We've got a lot of things going on. We've got the airport. We've got the Cassia County Sheriff's Office and the city of Burley fighting again over money. We got the school thing. I just don't know where these people are going to start and stop.
Well, let me jump in, Bob, and say something to you quickly, okay? May I? And you've been a longtime friend of this program, and I just want to say this. In regards to the sheriff's offices and the possible police, in regards to the airport and everything else, you know something? To me, they take a back seat to a problem that was not caused by the Cassia County School Board or its administration. It was a problem caused by a man that literally took them down a very dark path without a license and without the right knowledge on a bid. And I absolutely have total remorse and compassion for the Cassia County School Board and Cassia County Schools. They're working through a problem. I think they're doing the very best that they can. Your turn.
Well, I agree with you, Zeb, that, all of this stuff is coming together here all at once, and I just don't understand everything.
Bob, it's not a very good sales tool right now for other people to be thinking about centering a business here. And quite frankly, I would say with all the problems that you mentioned, and they are problems, people better start looking at their whole card for what they're doing to destroy the atmosphere and the growth of this area.
That's right. They're doing a good job of it, and I think it's time that, and I've said this before, all of them need to grow up and get something done and do it right.
I agree with
Thanks,
you.
Zeb.
Merry Christmas, my dear friend. Thank you. Let's give away a half dozen cinnamon rolls to a first-time caller. I got to get this in real quick. Sophie's Chatterbox at 530 East Street in Rupert, and she says, hey, you better call right now for your pies, your rolls, your cookies, your bread, and sugar cookies and pumpkin roll-ups. Oh, I love those. I wish she'd call me and say, I got an extra. You want it? And I'd say, yes, I'll be there in 5 minutes. Sophie's Chatterbox in Rupert, 436-0354. Let me say that again without biting my tongue. 436-0354. Here is the question. It's an easy one today. First-time winners only, okay? For a half dozen delicious cinnamon rolls. On the television show Magnum P.I., starring Tom Selleck, what was the character's name that Thomas was house-sitting for? What was the character's name that he was always having some kind of an arbitration or conflagration with? The character's name in Magnum P.I., what was it? Quickly call 436-2244, 1-866-927-4587, and you can win a half dozen cinnamon rolls from Sophie's Chatterbox. Come on, give me a call real fast. What was the character name, not the actor's name? All right, caller, good morning. You're on the air. What's the answer?
Higgins.
Who is this?
Dave Ringo.
Have you won before?
I haven't, Zeb.
Yeah, but your wife did.
So give it to somebody else, okay?
You know what? You won, but I'll tell you what, I'm going to put you on the honor system. Here's what I'm going to do. Are you ready?
Yes.
All right. You make plans to go get those cinnamon rolls, all right? And then I'm putting you on the honor system because it's Christmas time. Then I want you and your wife to figure out who might be needy of a nice little warm group of cinnamon rolls for Christmas time. Maybe some needy family, maybe a coworker that's kind of down and out. You present them to that coworker or friend, okay?
That
That's great. We gave the first set away, too.
All right, if you gave the first set away, then enjoy these, or split them in half and give them to your neighbors, but God bless you and Merry Christmas.
Thanks, Dad. Merry Christmas to you, too.
All right, thank you. It's Christmas time. Everybody's got to help somebody else. And 436-2244, 1-866-927-4587. Give me a call if you would, please. Thank you, Dave. I appreciate that. Oh, by the way, Barry Equipment and Rental, Eli, Nick, and the whole crew, 3 locations to serve you: Addison Avenue West, Twin Falls, South Lincoln and Jerome, 159 West Highway 30 in Burley. They have, and this is not brag, this is a fact, they have the equipment to get the job, any job, done right. Absolutely. Store hours are Monday through Friday, 7:30 to 5:30, Saturdays 8 to 5, closed on Sunday. They've got all the rototillers, the telehandlers, they've got the Doosan big loaders. They've got the Bobcat skid steers, everything at Barry Equipment and Rental. Twin Falls, Jerome, and Burley. Really nice people. Talking about nice people, that means you must be going to call 436-2244, 1-866-927-4587. I gotta tell you this one. I'm talking about what I think are really dumb people this morning. And Melissa Perry of MSNBC has got to rank as a real burned-out light bulb. Oh, listen to this. I couldn't believe it, but I heard her in her own words say this. She is all in a tizzy this past week because of the movie Star Wars. Now you're saying, what in the world could she, Melissa Perry, a very profound liberal Democrat on MSNBC, what could possibly have her in a tizzy now because of the movie Star Wars? Here we go. She came out in a tirade against Darth Vader. What? Yeah, she came out against Darth Vader because Darth Vader wears black. And she, Melissa Perry, thinks that when in the movies or television the bad guys wear black, that is racist. And she is really upset about this. Oh my goodness. I absolutely about fell off my chair. She said it is sinister and reflects a negativity of racism by Darth Vader wearing black. And, James Earl Jones, the voice of Darth Vader, he's black. And so the whole portrayal is racist. Chew on that for just a couple of seconds. Now, I know it's going to cause you indigestion. The liberal mindset in this world and in this country, absolutely nuts. And the reason they're getting away with it is because we don't do anything about it. Another story for you about Christmas. And students at the University of Missouri, does that ring a bell? University of Missouri. Remember, they were the nincompoops with Black Lives Matter and everything else that had the president quit and resign, and everybody else had to kowtow to their feelings. Well, now, the students at the University of Missouri are saying that they will not have anything to do, not all the students, fortunately, but a loudmouth group of them are saying that they're going to ditch Christmas. Why are they going to ditch Christmas? Well, because it's too Christian. May I take a moment and say to these millennials that have the IQ of a hockey puck and have done nothing contributory to the rest of the world or even had a job or done anything to contribute to society, these stupid punk snot-nosed kids, of course it's Christian. It's the birth of Jesus Christ, our Savior. And if you can't handle it, Get out of Dodge City. You know what they want to rename Christmas at the University of Missouri for the holiday period? They want to call it, I'm not kidding, Hottie Toddy Holidays. Holly Toddy Holidays. Caller, good morning. You're on the air.
Good morning, Zeb. You know, there's only one thing I've got to say about these people that want to run down our holidays and run down our pledge. And, you know, anything that the Christian or the American people are doing is Merry Christmas, Happy New Year, Happy Thanksgiving, and may the Lord bless you.
You know, Jerry, you're such a dear friend to this program and everything, and you and I have talked about this privately and then also on the phone. But a couple of years ago, and I make no bones about it, I walked into a store and I had some purchases, and I was up at the counter, and I said, Merry Christmas to the person that was taking my money, and they looked at me and they didn't acknowledge it, and I said, excuse me, I said, Merry Christmas. And they looked away and they said, yeah, Happy Holidays. And I left my purchases right there and would not buy them, and they could put them back on the shelves if they wanted to, because if you ignore my wish of Merry Christmas, I'm not shopping with you, buddy, I'll tell you that.
Well, I'm still going to say may the Lord bless you, and maybe someday you'll see the right way.
There you go. There you go. God bless you, Jerry. Thank you.
Hey, have a great day. May the Lord bless.
I appreciate it. You know, I'm really on a Christmas kick today. I really am. Merry Christmas. And if that offended somebody, good for me. I don't care if you're offended when I say Merry Christmas. I'm going to keep it up. Listen to what happened in a town, I think it was Lakewood, New Jersey. Lakewood, New Jersey. One person complained about the Christmas decorations in Lakewood, New Jersey, and the city took down the Christmas decorations. Are you kidding me? What kind of a completely nutso society are we living in? One person complained, I don't like those Christmas ornaments. And the city took them down. I'm shaking my head, you know, all the more reason that they should have put more lights up. They should have doubled their effort to really made it known that they were celebrating Christmas. One person complained, and they took them down. Oh, wow. Cool down, Zeb. Calm down. Your deodorant's wearing off. I got to have the weather forecast on here. I'm telling you, folks, give me a call, 436-2244. Don't forget, Mad River Laser is going to bring us the weather right now. Holy smokes, I can't even see the back fence on my property right now. And Mad River Laser at 502 East Street in Rupert. They've got so many great things over there for Christmas, you know, and they've got all kinds of home decor items. And, of course, they've got all your awards for your businesses, your year-end awards, and all your business promotional products. They wish you and yours a very Merry Christmas from Mad River Laser, 502 East Street in Rupert. And right now, here's Gina with the weather.
We are in a winter weather advisory up until 5 o'clock tomorrow morning. That means snow showers are in the forecast, plus with the wind, that means drifting snow. With all of the rain showers last night, it did create black ice conditions, so please just be careful out there. We are expecting anywhere between 1 and 5 inches of snow today. High of 31, overnight low of 21. Tomorrow, winds dying down just a little bit. We might see some sunshine, high of 27 with an overnight low of 19. Mostly cloudy and 30 for Wednesday, and more snow showers are expected for Thursday. Yesterday's high was 42, and the overnight low was 30. Not your weather for Zebeth Duran.
Thank you very much, Gina. Always a great job. And the weather, of course, brought to everybody this hour by Mad River Laser at 502 East Street in Rupert. Thank you, Nicole. All right, calls are welcome, 436-2244, 1-866-927-4587. I want to remind you, too, that this week, Wednesday, day after tomorrow, we're going to be getting down there early in the morning at Denny's Restaurant, 611 Oberlin in Burley, and we are going to be over there for the entirety of my broadcasting live from Denny's at 611 Oberlin in Burley for the Denny's Old Fashioned Merry Christmas Party. Oh, it's going to be fantastic. Burley High School choir carolers and door prizes and Santa Claus and Loot in the Boot for the needy families and Ken Mort. Oh, wow. Going to be a lot of fun. Everybody be there. All right, calls are welcome, 436-2244, 1-866-927-4587. Oh, by the way, this is another real negative about how people can be so rotten to the core during Christmas time. There was a group of thieves back east, and what they were doing, and some of the thieves were like bombs, telling their kids to run up on porches and steal packages, boxes, etc., that had been left there from FedEx or UPS. Can you believe this? Yeah, I'm not kidding. They were stealing all the delivered packages from people's porches. And there was a network of them. And then they would get all this stuff out of these boxes and sell it and make some money. Oh, my goodness. Now, in my not too kind mind, wouldn't it be fun to wire those packages up on a electrical grid? And when said thief runs over to grab these packages, alas, Martha, we have another Christmas tree on our porch. Look how they lit up. I think the only way that people can honestly stop this idiocy and insanity is to, I guess, require the companies so that they would have to sign for the packages. But can you imagine at Christmas time, caring for your fellow man and wishing them the best and helping others that maybe are less fortunate? People with the low IQs like this, stealing Christmas packages and then reselling the goods. Oh. Calls are welcome, 436-2244, 1-866-927-4587. Please give me a call. I would love to hear what your thoughts are. I was listening a little bit last night. I was skipping through the channels. It was a very boring game last night between the Patriots and the Texans. And I caught an advertisement for Bear Grylls' survival show with Obama on the show. I'm not making this up. I'll talk to you more about that in just a few minutes. Caller, good morning. You're on the air.
Zeb?
Yes.
Oh, I couldn't remember. Hey, I just was, wondering if we could get John Kerry and Barack, the desired leader, to work out here in this weather and, maybe feed some cattle, milk some cows, frame a house, get them out here where they can really feel what it's like to be a man.
I'd be in favor of that. I think we should make it a constitutional amendment that every president that runs for the presidency has to go out and dig ditches and carry brick mortar and have to erect a home for the homeless and has to go out and pull a calf at 3 a.m. I think it's a great idea.
Well, one more thing about this global BS is that Anchorage, Alaska has got more snow, recorded snow, so far than in history. And you know how they talk about the drought in California and Oregon and Washington, because I've been reading about it for months. Well, the snowpack in those states, in Northern California, Oregon, and Washington, is so well beyond, 100%. You see, but then all we hear about is how it's raining so much on the West Coast in Seattle or something. Yes, I realize that sometimes it's not always perfect, but it's better than the option drought.
Oh, Randy, I tell you what, I am so fed up with this pablum being fed to us from the Obama administration and John Kerry, both of which have been off the rails for a long time, and their choo-choo train is never going to get fixed. I am so sick and tired of listening to them spout off about global warming and climate change and everything, and I've had numerous scientists at major universities on this program that have disputed their silly frivolities. They've bunked them, and by the way, I want to mention to you that even the former founder of Greenpeace has said that they have lied and distorted the facts. What more proof do you need, Randall?
Yeah, Patrick Moore, I've read a lot of his book, and yes, the thing of it is we just have to, like somebody said, these last 12 months are going to be hell if we don't somehow put a rein on Mr. Obama.
Absolutely. Randy, to you and your family, a very, very Merry Christmas. Thank you for your calls as always.
Merry Christmas. Be careful. The roads are terrible.
I will, buddy. Thank you very much. Caller number 2, you're on the air. Go ahead.
Good morning. Good snowy morning there, Zeb.
Yeah, well, thank you. Thank you very much. God bless you, man. Go ahead.
Yeah, I been noticing this snowfall. You know, they've been telling about the snowfall in the Rockies and the Cascades in Alaska and stuff. And the other day I was surfing through my satellite dish looking for something decent to watch, and I happened to come across this weather forum, I guess you would call it, on climate change.
Yeah.
And the moderator mentioned something about the record rainfall and the record snowfall and stuff. And the person that was one of those climate change gurus, he spouted off and said, well, yeah, sure, yeah, we're getting more rain and we're getting more snow because it forces more water into the atmosphere, and it's the global warming that's causing all this snow. I could just chuckle.
Well, let me ask you a quick question. Give me a short answer on this. Honestly, when you use the words common sense, would you rather be colder or would you rather be warmer with crops and food available, or would you rather live in an icebox wondering where you're going to get your next meal?
Well, I would rather that the climate be a little bit warmer, but not much.
There you go.
The CO2 concentration go up in our atmosphere because CO2 is plant food, and as plants grow and they metabolize the CO2, they create oxygen and a food source based on carbon, which we eat. And, you know, it's actually better for this planet if we would have a little more CO2
Absolutely.
in our atmosphere.
Absolutely.
Have a little less.
That's absolutely. It's a longer answer than I had time for, but it's a good answer. God bless you, man. Thanks so much.
Well, you have a Merry Christmas, and, you know, don't hurt yourself doing your walk.
Believe me, I'm not going to. Thank you very much. Oh, it's slippery out there, and if you're going someplace, please drive carefully. And I want to remind you about traction tires. Oh, my goodness, you better get into your Magic Valley Les Schwab Tire Centers. All 7 locations have all the traction tires you need. All the studdable tires, they've got all the traction tires that are designed to get you through the snow, the ice, and the muck. All the tire chains, they've got the snow wheels. Oh, yes, they've got it all, including the best, and I really say this and mean it, the best in brake service. They've got the best in front-end alignment, the best in shocks and struts, the best in batteries. All of this at all 7 locations with Lane and Rupert, Dave on Blue Lakes and Twin, Mike and Buell, Mike and Jerome, the Twist family and Paul, John on Pole Line in Twin Falls, and my buddy Randy the Seahawk fan on Oberlin and Burley. Your Magic Valley Les Schwab Tire Centers. Your turn. Give me a call. Oh, by the way, Here's a small dilemma. Nobody wants the body of dead Muslim female killer. Farouk. They don't want her. Nobody has laid claim to the body. Nobody wants it. Now here's the dilemma. The county down in San Bernardino normally, under any other circumstances, cremates those that are unclaimed. Can't do that. Can't do that. But Muslims are furious and saying, no, there will be no cremation. Nobody wants the body of the dead female Muslim killer. Coming up next hour, I'm blessed to have a dear friend of mine, one of my dearest friends, Jack Euler, and he's going to be talking about a subject that, boy, I hope this doesn't progress like a cancer. Some nitwit up in the Wood River Valley wants to stop hunting, and Jack's on top of that story. We're going to have him coming in here talking about that. Then at 9:30, oh my goodness, Carrie Kupek from the Alliance Defending Freedom has some outstanding stories that she's going to be talking about. 10:06, Representative Fred Wood. Good to have him on the program. And then at 10:30 this morning, do not miss terror expert. He's on all the major television shows. Ryan Morrow will be on talking about, really, how safe are we? You've been listening to Zeb at the Ranch, and make sure you're hearing everything. Contact Mount Harrison Audiology for a hearing screening. Call 312-0957. News next from CBS. Oh my, here we go. Hour number 2 on a Monday. Zeb at the Ranch, and of course with our major sponsor, your Magic Valley Les Schwab Tire Centers, all 7 locations serving you, and our dear friends at Western Waste Services.
From the canyons of the Snake River and all across southern Idaho, we're always at your disposal. Western Waste Services, we care about our community, our resources, and this great land. Western Waste Services is lending a hand, always at your disposal. Western Waste Services.
Hey, they've got a great idea at Western Waste Services. I wished I'd have thought of it. It's a super idea. Give your moms and dads and your uncles and aunts and grandmas and grandpas free pickup of their waste, their garbage every year. Yeah, for a whole year. The gift that keeps on getting rid of your garbage. Go ahead and call 734-6969 and tell them that you're going to pay for a year of their garbage pickup, and that is the gift that really keeps on giving. Western Waste Services. Locally owned and operated. Call them today at 734-6969. Great idea. By the way, too, I want to say thank you. These folks wish you and yours a very Merry Christmas. Hanson Mortuary at 710 6th Street in Rupert with our dear friend Joel Heward, his family, his staff, all of them wishing you the best of this Christmas holiday time. And if there is the passing of a loved one, they can travel to the rural towns and churches to help you with all the arrangements, always with the highest ethical standards, with unquestioned integrity. Please call them today, 436-5636. Hanson Mortuary in Rupert. By the way, quickly, before I get my guest on the air this morning, Merry Christmas wishes also from Rogge Auctions. These are wonderful, wonderful people. Ron, Cade, Corey, and Jed, the best auctioneers around. And if you're selling your farm and farm equipment, call Rogge Auctions. They wish you and yours a very Merry Christmas. As does our dear friend, Representative Fred Wood. Boy, we're blessed to have him in our legislature. And he says we live in a blessed country and should be very thankful what God has granted us, especially at this Merry Christmas time. Thank you, and Merry Christmas. Right now, a dear friend that came out rather in a unique situation this morning. We heard a weird kind of a noise out in the driveway, and there, dressed like Nanak of the North with his dog sled, was Jack Euler. Good morning, Jack.
Good morning. I made it.
Mush those Huskies.
But I got a lot of miles to go before the day's over.
You know, you worry me, and I'm going to say it publicly. You said you got to go where?
I got to go back to Twin, and then Haley, and then Boise,
don't
or
go.
Nampa.
Don't go. Don't go today, Jack, please. God's blessings, don't go. I want to get right into the subject matter in hand, and I will have to interrupt a little bit for commercials, but I do want you to... What in the world is this twit up in Sun Valley area by the name of Ralph Harris trying to promote a no hunting for the area? What's going on here?
He's not trying to promote no hunting. He's trying to abolish hunting in the Wood River Valley.
You're going to be kidding me.
That's why I did the right to hunt, fish, and trap bill a few years ago, and because I knew this was coming. But if you can't look down the road and see what's around the corner, you don't have much of an imagination.
Let me say this. When you and Senator Hyder were talking about this right to hunt and fish, there were a lot of scoffers, including the Times News and others in the area that said, oh, that's a right that'll never be infringed upon. Well, here you have in printed proof a guy by the name of Ralph Harris, resident of Hewlin Meadows up in the Ketchum area, trying to stop hunting. The crazies are out there.
I've got some notes written on this.
I'll bet you do.
Proposal.
Okay, well, tell us about it. Go ahead.
And this is interesting. He talks about over the 136 years of Euro-American development in the Wood River Valley, the main economic structure has changed from mining, sheep and cattle ranching, timber harvesting, to what is now tourism.
Yeah.
And so we all have to change. Everybody has to change because he says it's now in the Wood River Valley, all the economic thing is tourism.
Yeah, so,
now, that's a bunch of baloney.
Well, that's a good word. That's not the word I would have used, but I'm on the radio. But I would say that then we're going to have to negate and forget about all the cattle ranching. We're going to have to forget and negate all the sheep ranching and grazing. We're going to have to forget the farming practices for his tourism. Is he crazy?
That's what he's proposing.
I know.
And he even goes further. Now, he's presented this letter to the Fish and Game Commission at the commission meeting, and he's going to do petitions for the Fish and Game, the commission, and the legislature.
Yeah.
So he is serious about what he's trying to do.
Let me read, if I could.
Go ahead.
I want to read this sentence, and then I want you to respond to it. He says, and I'm not taking all of this in its context. I'm taking some of these sentences out. For the overall development of ecotourism, we need to preserve our access to wildlife. We have a similar opportunity to create a Wood River Wildlife Preserve extending from Galena Summit South to Highway 20. What do you think about that?
And he goes on to say the entire Wood River system, watershed, should be considered a no-hunting zone.
Oh, my goodness. And then it says, as the desires of local and tourist populations extend, the boundaries of physical activity with hiking and biking and mountaineering and cross-country skiing and alpine skiing, the mix with hunting and trapping because of proximity represents a dangerous mix.
Yes, a dangerous mix. This guy is trying to use wildlife to his advantage in this letter in places, but then he says wildlife is causing problems with the people that live there. But if the Fish and Game even has an idea of what's going on, this would eliminate controlled hunts. What this is going to do, if this got passed, would eliminate hunting in Unit 48 and 49.
And it could also, like a cancer, grow in possibly other areas.
That's right.
Now, let me just say this. There was one part of this letter that absolutely made me back up and think about how bright this guy really isn't. He said, as the ungulate population increases to the extent of infringing on the agricultural zones within the Wood River Valley, we should capture of these animals for relocation, and that will add to genetic diversity and or generate economic improvement in other areas of the state. Here's the part that really got me. Funding for relocation and or feeding during the dense snowpack winter months can be facilitated with volunteer groups aiding the Department of Fish and Game. Dear friend Ralph Harris that wrote this letter, I would not really want to rely on independent volunteer groups to pay for all the wildlife.
This guy has no clue as to what the world is and how the world turns.
Absolutely.
And that's what I say. He uses wildlife to his advantage in places in this letter, but then he goes back and say wildlife and hunters are a problem.
You know, Jack, the thing that we're making fun of him, and needfully so, because he's absolutely out on a limb, but we are also, I think, letting the audience know that with people like this Ralph Harris, there is a problem out there that might turn into a cancer if it does get some steam.
It's totally realistic, Zeb, because Blaine County, in the right to hunt, fish, and trap bill, Blaine County is the only county in the state of Idaho that did not vote over 50% to support the right to hunt, fish, and trap bill.
Really?
And it was 47%. And that was the only county. And that bill passed at 75.5% within the state of Idaho.
Right.
So, there was a lot of support for it.
But the loons live up there.
That's right. And it says, since Idaho continues its historical relationship involving firearms, a more intense educational environmental demands hunter consideration for coexistence with non-hunters.
Yeah, and then here's another sentence that I want you to respond to. He said the school systems also benefit with educational field trips, innovating youthful dedication to cooperative existence with nature. Let's go hug a wolf, shall we, Jack?
Right now, they got a problem up there with elk on the road just south of but north of Haley and South Ketchum.
Absolutely.
And, okay, why aren't they out there doing what they said they could do educationally? Go out and capture these animals and transplant them somewhere else. The realism of this thing and what is actually happening is not there. But I totally see where I've sat at the table with these kind of people so many years. I totally am disgusted with it, and I made a note on this page. I said, go back to where you came from.
Yeah, you know, what is it? You bring a very good point up here. We have people that are coming in with no assimilation. They don't want to assimilate.
No.
But what they do is they want to come here, live for a couple of years, and then try to change everything upside down into their past environment. And I'm really upset about this because for a long time, the Fish and Game has been on my program once a month, and we've talked about the management. And that's what it is. Management of big game, management of the fisheries, etc.
That's right.
So that everybody can enjoy what's happening out in nature with wildlife. This guy would absolutely create a Pandora's box of problems with no management within an area that could be very detrimental to human beings.
That's totally what it's going to, and he doesn't consider that in his proposal.
Yeah. Now, what's he going to do? Is he going to start a petition or something?
Yes, it says right in his letter. The next phase is to start a petition for presentation to the Idaho Fish and Game as well as to the legislature to establish the process of legislative transfer to the Wood River Wildlife Preserve.
Oh, now explain something to me. Keep that in mind. The Wood River Wildlife Preserve. Tell me about how that's going to be constructed and who's going to get all the money right after I do a quick commercial break. Don't forget Let's Ride. Oh, my goodness sakes, 270 Highway 24 between Rupert and the World. They've got it all for you. Oh, snow plows for your four-wheeler. Jack, right now, if I had a snow plow for my four-wheeler, if you get stuck in my yard, I just plow you out. But the way it is, you're stuck. Anyway, Let's Ride, 270 Highway 24 between Rupert and the World with snow plows for your four-wheeler. I've got to get one of those. And don't forget, they've got all the snowmobile clothing, 20% off. They've got great Christmas gift-giving ideas. X-brand goggles, 35% off. You'd better stop over and see them today. And, of course, all your snowmobiles right there at Let's Ride, where the fun is sold. You get over and see them today. Real quick, too, while you're over in that neck of the woods, Cameron and Siemens Insurance, Highway 24 in Rupert, life insurance, health insurance, retirement planning, employee benefits. They know they will help. They have helped me. They can help you. Call them for an appointment, 436-4424. Dedicated and responsive to your needs. Cameron and Siemens Insurance, 436-4424. Now, Jack Euler's on the phone, on the studio with us, and I want to say, what is the Wood River Wildlife Preserve? Is it a big zoo? Can we go to the zoo, Dad?
That's what they're trying to create, supposedly, with nobody with firearms. So, whatever. But the next sentence is what gets me. The Boulder White Clouds Wilderness Bill has been enacted, enabling another step to franchise a space for living with great creatures of our public lands.
Yeah.
He moved Hewlin Meadows, if you know where Hewlin Meadows is.
I do.
He moved into winter habitat for wildlife.
Yeah.
And now he wants to take the part of what he moved into out, and he wants to throw away the hunters.
Right.
He wants to throw away the ranchers. He wants to throw away everything the way this country was built and live by his rules.
It almost sounds like a liberal real estate ad. And establish a franchise, a space for living with the great creatures of our public lands. Does he think or have any concept that all of a sudden, by creating this no hunting zone, that all the creatures of nature are going to flock to his back door and live there only?
If I can see what would happen if elk and deer showed up in his yard and started eating these bushes and trees.
Oh, baby.
Here comes complaints to the Fish and Game.
Yeah, get rid of them.
Take care of these animals.
Yep.
Get rid of them. Take care of these animals. He wouldn't be bringing busloads of kids from the school up there for educational whatever. And, you know, like I said, I've sat in too many meetings with these people, and I know exactly what they're after.
You know, and here's the thing, Jack. Tell me if I'm wrong. We can make fun of his letter. We can make fun of the twisted mind that he had to write this letter and trying to stop hunting. But there's a very sinister and very real element to this letter that everybody should be concerned about, because one begets another. Another one begets two. And by writing this and trying to get this out in front of the public, there are others of that mindset that start to jump aboard, and it's something that needs to be addressed,
especially in the Wood River Valley. And but it's like his mindset is over the 136 years of Euro-American development.
Right.
He says that is no longer realistic, and that no longer lives. You have to live by what I want to live by today.
But isn't that the mantra, if you will, of those like the Western Watersheds Project and other environmental groups, defenders of wildlife? They're always out there. You can't do what you want to do because you're going to do what we are going to tell you to do.
That's right. And I have another letter that I just received, and it's concerning wolves, but scientists want wolves removed from the endangered species list.
Why?
And here and it's talking about the north central part of the country.
Michigan, Minnesota, and Wisconsin.
Yes.
Yeah.
And the environmentalists, as this guy is, and what they're trying to do, and the way they are trying to push it down everybody's throat, and they have been for so many years, that it's causing more problems than they can handle at this time. So all of these, some of the environmental groups have got on behind 26 scientists in this Great Lakes thing and are pushing for delisting of the wolf in the Great Lakes area. I mean, they can see that this has, they've tried to shove this down our throat for so long that they're running into problems. They're running into the ESA problem, and Washington, D.C. is sick of it.
Yeah. You know, Jack, I commend you. You've been fighting these kooks and crazies for a long time, but we can call them kooks and crazies, but you know what? They're very sinister and evil people because they want to transition and change everything about our lifestyle.
That's right. Sportsmen, and that's what I'm representing here today.
Absolutely.
Is they create $1.3 billion a year in the Idaho economy. And what would this guy create for the Idaho economy?
Nothing.
If he got this through.
May I ask this, and I don't mean to embarrass you on the air if you don't have these facts and figures, but in 48 and 49, do you have the financial loss that could take place for that region if there were not hunting?
I did not put the financial, because some of the tags go to non-residents, which cost more, and some to residents.
That's true.
But I do have figures on it would eliminate all archery hunting in the Wood River Valley, and eliminate 120 controlled hunt deer tags, 2,030 controlled hunt elk tags, 40 controlled hunt antelope tags, bear season for 2 months, mountain lion season, wolf season, and all upland game hunting and waterfowl hunting and trapping.
That's a lot of money.
That's a lot of money it would eliminate for the fish and game.
That's right.
Because they get money off the tags.
Do you think, and I'll just say this bluntly, do you think that's part of the intent of these people is to eliminate, eradicate, and stop the fish and game from being in existence, thus no management of wildlife?
Well, I don't know. He talks about here presenting the petition to the Department of Fish and Game.
Yeah.
So he's not trying to eliminate it because the environmental groups like to get into these departments like the Fish and Game, which they have, and I don't know.
To me, it sounds like it's a step on the monopoly board that they want to try to do this and then wait a little while, then do this, and then eventually assume the control.
They are going to continue and continue and continue. I don't know how much longer I'll be alive. I don't know how much longer I can look out for sportsmen and things that are going on.
Okay, we have a caller with a question. Quickly, caller, I'm almost out of time. Go ahead, please.
Yes, I want to thank Jack for his stand on this issue for all the sportsmen and people that are concerned about this takeover by these radical environmentalists. But it's all, again, this is all part of Agenda 21 that's come down from the UN. We just see the climate thing, and I appreciate what you're doing there, Jack, but we need to get out of the UN because we're the focal point of all this stuff is coming from, and the EPA, of course, is just, implementing all this stuff and all these different agencies, and we need to stop funding these cotton picking things. So I'd like Jack to comment about that.
All right, Jack.
I'd like Jack for great, and Merry Christmas.
Merry Christmas to you, sir. Jack, quickly, he's right. A lot of this is funded by the United Nations and various countries that want to basically take control of our country and manage and manipulate it the way they want it run. Go ahead and respond.
I have fought these issues in Washington, D.C. for years and years and years. And we have a problem with the people that are in Washington, D.C. We have some people from Idaho, 3 out of the 4, that are very good. The other one, he would vote with the environmental groups, and he would vote with the United Nations. But this is, if people would look, you got to stand up for what you believe in and what you live in this country for. And if you do not have any beliefs or live in this country for anything, go somewhere else.
You know, Jack, what should the response be from after people are hearing this on the radio about this letter sent to ban hunting in units 48 and 49? What should the response be? What should people do? What is there that they can do?
Well, the long road is it's going to show up on the ballot at some point in time. That's what this guy's after. He's trying to get it through the legislature and on the ballot, just as I did with the right to hunt, fish, and trap bill. Now, that didn't take 1 year or 2 years. That started in 2003.
Yeah.
And I didn't get anywhere. Then 2006, we went back and tried it again. We got through the House and not the Senate. And then in 2011, we met and we made a good plan. 2012, we got it through the legislature, and it was on the ballot that fall.
Absolutely.
As part of our Constitution in the state of Idaho. These things take work, they take time, they take energy.
And money.
And money.
And let's be very honest, that when you start talking about ramming heads against the environmental groups, you're going up against a big billfold.
You are going up against a big, big one. And the reason I brought up this thing about the wolves is they have pushed so hard, the environmentalists, with their money and everything else, that it is starting to kick back at them in some areas.
Yeah. Jack, thank you for staying on top of this. Now, what's the response as far as what you're concerned? Have you talked to this gentleman, and I use the term loosely, Ralph Harris? Have you met with him? Are you going to try to meet with him? Are you going to try to find out where he's coming from?
I've met with the Fish and Game Commission, and I'm going to wait and see what comes up.
Okay.
I want to see if he does have petitions out and what the petitions say, and then I have some legislators on my side in the committee.
I know you do.
That deals with this.
I know you do. Jack, may I extend to you and your family a very, very Merry Christmas. And Jack drove all the way out here this morning, and he's always been so helpful and amenable to this program, to being a great guest. And, of course, now we had a little enticement for him to do that, and that was because Deanne had baked a bunch of holiday bread, and he got a loaf of bread. So there you go, Jack. Merry Christmas to you. God bless you.
Thank you very much.
You're welcome. Drive carefully, my dear blessed friend. Thank you so much.
I got a long day.
All right, sir. Jack Euler, and I have the utmost respect for this man. He's been a friend of mine for many, many years. Hey, don't forget Lee's Furniture, Floors, and More. Deanne, come help Santa Claus get out to his car, would you please? Don't forget Santa Claus specials at Lee's Furniture, Floors, and More at 459 Overland in Burley. Oh, my goodness sakes. They've got all the sofas at specially marked down prices, 3-piece occasional tables at prices that are just unheard of. They've got all the bunk beds. They've got the dining room sets. Oh, Santa has left a lot of furniture at Lee's Furniture, Floors, and More. 459 Overland in Burley. All you have to do to check on the Santa specials, stop in to Lee's Furniture, Floors, and More. Really nice people. By the way, too, I want to acknowledge the fact that Red's Trading Post, in the historic Old Town location since 1936 at 203 Fifth Avenue South, they've got all your firearms, from Browning, Beretta, Weatherby, Ruger, Benelli, Smith & Wesson, Winchester, all the ammunition, all the accessories. But you know what the main thing is? They've got the people, the quality people that really know about guns at Red's Trading Post, 203 5th Avenue South in Twin Falls. You stop in and see them today. Right now, I'm going to check with Wheels. Do we have Kerry on the line, Wheels?
We do, sir.
Oh, good job over there at the station. Thank you very much. I'm a couple of minutes late, and I apologize to this lovely lady, Kerry Kupek, with the Alliance Defending Freedom. Good morning and Merry Christmas, Kerry.
Merry Christmas, Zeb.
How are you today?
Doing well. How about yourself?
Well, I got to tell you, you have a knack. And normally I got to tell my audience that Kerry, usually about Thursday or Friday, she has a conversation via the internet with my wife, and she sends me these stories, and this one really got my goat. And that was, of course, the story about whether or not in New Hampshire they can use the term Christmas or not. Please tell us more about this story.
Yeah, this one's an interesting one, that's for sure. So as you mentioned, in New Hampshire, there's a school district up there, and within that school district, there was a private citizen who was distributing flyers for the town's annual Christmas tree lighting ceremony. And the person who's distributing this is the commander of the local American Legion post, and together with the local Lions Club, they co-sponsored this very cherished, happy annual event. And the school district rather, has set up a forum where private citizens can advertise, community events and things like that have an educational or, just a community purpose, which this clearly fits. And so this Christmas tree flyer was among the flyers that was in this forum, and it made clear that this was not a school-sponsored event. However, the school district superintendent had a problem with this Christmas tree lighting flyer and said that Christmas must be removed and holiday tree needed to replace it.
Oh, my. Now, so this superintendent, playing like a little mini Hitler, trying to denigrate and stop Christmas, said you have to change the flyer or you're against the law, and made threats and everything. Tell us what happened after that.
Well, the person who was organizing the flyer distribution, so this is the American Legion person, and then with the conjunction with the Lions Club. So in protest, he crossed out Christmas and used whiteout and put holiday in its place to make clear, that these flyers had been told, the people who were creating these flyers were told they had to change it. So he kind of made this flyer where the Christmas was crossed out so people could see, and people in the town and parents are upset, and there's a board meeting happening where these people can go, members of the community can go and voice their concerns. But it's really, there are a couple, problems, aside from the common sense aspect of this. It's a Christmas tree lighting, right? So what else would we call it? If it's a Christmas tree, that's what it is. So to replace it with holiday tree, it's just silly. It undermines and defies common sense. But if we're going to talk about the constitutional aspect of this, let's keep in mind one key fact. The flyers at issue here are private speech. This is not a school-sponsored event. This is not this particular public school saying, hey, everyone, come to our Christmas party. This is a private citizen within the community putting up a flyer that's advertising a Christmas tree lighting ceremony that takes place within the town so that parents may take their children to if they'd like to go. So that's a big problem because obviously this is a very big violation of the free speech and free exercise clause of the First Amendment, which obviously very strongly protects religious expression. But beyond that, even if these flyers were the speech of the school, say the principal had created it he himself or herself, and they had put it up on some bulletin board, it would still be unnecessary to remove the word Christmas. The Supreme Court has held, for instance, that the display of a nativity scene is constitutional when it's displayed along with other secular symbols for a legitimate secular purpose, such as to celebrate the holiday or to depict the origin of the holiday. And many federal courts have allowed public schools to include both religious and secular symbols in Christmas displays, school calendars, and holiday programs. So not only is using the word Christmas in a flyer advertising a Christmas tree lighting and the appearance of Santa Claus sensible, but it's also constitutional completely.
Carrie, I always say this. I read this story and I sat there and I smoldered like an old fire. And I thought, really, when you think about who's at fault here, the problem is us. We as Christians, we as people in the normal society of what made America great, the problem belongs to us for letting these kooks and these crackpots that are trying to stop Christmas and trying to change everything over to their liberal mindset. We should have stood up a long time ago and said it's time for you to get out of Dodge City. Really, the problem is ours.
And there's some serious ignorance on the part of school administrators.
Yes.
They see Christmas and they panic, which of course is sad, but it also just displays a clear misunderstanding of what the Constitution protects and what courts have said in the past. And let's keep in mind what we're talking about here. This is an event in the town. It's a beloved Christmas tree lighting where you can get hot chocolate, donuts, gifts, time with Santa and Mrs. Claus. This is not a school-sponsored event. The flyer said as much. This is something, as a parent, that if you're walking through the halls of a school in this particular school district, New Hampshire, you may look at this flyer and say, oh, this is something I would love to take my elementary school children to. What a nice family event. That's all this is. And so for the superintendent to tell the organizers, you have to cross out Christmas, even though it is a Christmas tree lighting, is just silly, and it's kind of sad. This is a great family event for people to go to. And, of course, there are obvious constitutional problems.
And Carrie, I wished it would happen here. I mean that. I wished it would happen here so that I could jump into the fray and I could get you or Jeremy Tedesco or any one of a number of attorneys with ADF involved and just basically chase the dog back into his kennel like they should with this person that's trying to act like a Hitler back there and say down with Christmas. People have got to speak up and do something.
Right, and again, very simple. Calling Christmas trees what they are, not unconstitutional. But it is unconstitutional to censor private speech simply because it is religious in nature. And when I say religious, I'm simply saying using the word Christmas.
How in the world, and this is maybe off of this case, but they all tie together, Carrie. I had word this morning that a school principal in New York said, no, you will not say Santa Claus in school. No, you will not say Merry Christmas in the halls. No, we will not say the Pledge of Allegiance or honor anything to do with Thanksgiving or Christmas. This is outrageous. And then the University of Missouri, and they've had plenty of their problems down there with these stupid millennials that haven't got the common sense that God gave a billy goat. Down at the University of Missouri, the students are saying they're going to ditch Christmas because it's too Christian. Of course it's Christian. It's the birth of Jesus Christ, and they can't accept that.
Yeah, it's sad. This is a beloved holiday in this country. It's something that we should be celebrating and just enjoying. This is a very special time of the year that has been enjoyed by people of this country for hundreds of years. It's a great time of year. And to speak to your point about that principal in Brooklyn and New York, I was reading that article this morning as well, and that's just really surprising. She's scrubbing clean the school of Christmas references, of Thanksgiving references, of the Pledge of Allegiance references. I'm not quite sure what she's thinking or why she'd want to do that. And I saw a parent, the president of the PTA was on Fox and Friends this morning talking about how upset the parents are. And I saw some reactions of other school districts in New York City as well, and they said, hey, we celebrate everything. We enjoy embracing the diversity of holidays within our school district. We're not trying to, rinse out or eliminate all references to some of the events that bring some of the greatest joy and richness to our lives, we want to embrace these things.
Well, Carrie, what do you...
So this particular principal doesn't seem to be tracking with the other school districts in New York City.
Absolutely. Carrie, what do you think? This is a speculative question, but what do you think? I mean, here's a 13-year-old girl walking by another girl and says, "Merry Christmas. Hope you have a nice holiday season," or "I hope Santa Claus brings you what you want. I hope that we see you at the church program Sunday." What are they going to do? Are they going to bounce that kid out of school? Are they going to threaten jail time? I mean, really, what are the threats that these liberal loons are trying to impose if somebody says something as innocuous as "Merry Christmas"?
Right. Well, that student certainly is free to say Merry Christmas to her students or teachers or anyone she would like to. She's an American citizen, and she has guaranteed the protection under the Constitution to freely speak. Walking through the door of a government facility or institution does not mean you shed your constitutional First Amendment protected rights there as well. You don't. So she has the freedom to say that. But your point is well taken. Why are we trying to eliminate Christmas expression from our culture and from our workplace? This is not the melting pot of America that we all love and cherish.
Now, you see these stories, and of course you hear more about these stories with their legalities or illegalities, more so than I do. How concerned are you as the communications director for the Alliance Defending Freedom with the assault on Christmas? On a 1 to 10 scale, where is this with these liberal loons trying to change everything?
Every year we see some odd quote-unquote crackdown on private citizens expressing their Christmas engagements and just their holiday, well wishes. We see this every year. And typically when we send letters explaining to administrators of government schools or government facilities what the law actually says, which is private citizens, of course, can say Merry Christmas. Government employees do not shed their constitutional rights at the door when they go to work. And when we explain the law and we explain what the courts have said throughout its history about Christmas and Americans' rights under the law with respect to Christmas, they typically change their tune pretty quickly.
Now, you had another story, and I know we're running a little over this morning, but this story about Canadian law school possibly losing its accreditation to the students. Tell us a little bit about this. This one also got me a little bit more than fired up.
Well, this is good news. So previously, a law school in British Columbia in Canada, and this is Trinity Western University proposed law school. It's a law school that's in the making. They actually have been denied accreditation because of the university's biblical beliefs on appropriate sexual behavior. And they were actually going to be denied accreditation simply for operating according to their beliefs on marriage, which make perfect sense considering this is a religious Christian institution. Well, the Supreme Court there said no, that's not okay, and they certainly should be able to live free and work according to their sincerely held beliefs and convictions as a faith-based educational institution. This is a diverse society, Canada is, and they should be free to operate accordingly. And they said that the accreditation should not be denied and, in fact, should be restored. So this is very good news with respect to religious freedom.
Is there anything coming down the pike in the United States that might be of similar scare as to what happened in Canada? I'm looking at various universities that have a religious tone to them. You know them far better than I. Liberty University, Texas Christian University, Notre Dame, etc. Is there anything that could happen or start up here in the United States?
Well, one thing we're seeing right now, we have a number of Christian colleges and universities currently before the Supreme Court who do not want to provide life-ending drugs and devices in their employee and student health plans. These schools, and we represent 5 of these schools, and their case should be heard at the end of March at the Supreme Court, are faith-based institutions. They always have been. They always will be. They believe in the sacredness and sanctity of life, and for them to provide Plan B, Ella, and these two IUDs that can cause the destruction of embryo would be to violate their conscience and the mission upon which they are founded. And the fact that they are before the Supreme Court fighting for this right now is concerning for sure, especially considering they also they are fine and include the 16 of the 20 FDA-approved birth control devices and drugs. They only oppose the 4 that FDA themselves have said can cause the destruction of life. And so that's one area we're seeing where conscience and religious freedom is really under attack, and this is under the umbrella of Obamacare.
Absolutely. Carrie, we are so blessed to have you and the Alliance Defending Freedom out there, just waiting to pounce upon, like I said, the loons in our society that want to try to change and alter everything. Tell us more about how people can follow these stories and others with the Alliance Defending Freedom.
They can go to adflegal.org.
Okay. Carrie Kupek. And, wait a minute. I got to get my bell over here. Hold on. Merry Christmas, Carrie. See you next week.
Merry Christmas.
All right. Take care. Carrie Kupek with the Alliance Defending Freedom. A lovely, lovely lady. Thank you very much. Oh, my goodness, I've got to get the weather on in here. And right now, Wheels is ready with he looks like a little vulture over there with his hand above the button, ready to give me the weather with Gina. Go ahead, please.
We are in a winter weather advisory up until 5 o'clock tomorrow morning. That means snow showers are in the forecast, plus with the wind, that means drifting snow. With all of the rain showers last night, it did create black ice conditions, so please just be careful out there. We are expecting anywhere between 1 and 5 inches of snow today. High of 31, overnight low of 21. Tomorrow, winds dying down just a little bit. We might see some sunshine, high of 27 with an overnight low of 19. Mostly cloudy and 30 for Wednesday, and more snow showers are expected for Thursday. Yesterday's high was 42, and the overnight low was 30. Not your weather for Zebra Duran.
You know, normally, and I'm kind of going to have to issue an apology here, because normally when I start the weather, I always give the sponsor. Well, I dropped the paper on the floor, and I didn't have all the info in front of me. So now I will say, and we'll pretend that I said this prior to the start of the weather. The weather this hour brought to you by Mountain Transmissions. Hello, Rick. Things happen in real life sometimes. I'll tell you what, these are really good people at Mountain Transmissions, serving all of southern Idaho, cars, trucks, RVs, motorhomes, 4x4s, foreign and domestic. They can repair transmissions, rebuild transmissions, clutch repair specialists. I'm telling you, you want to work with the people that really know their business. And that's the folks at Mountain Transmissions. Matter of fact, Rick Martin is going to be on my program tomorrow. We're going to be talking about this. They're located at 504 East Main in Burley. The number to call, 678-9110. Mountain Transmissions bringing you the weather for this hour. Thank you very much. Calls are welcome. 436-2244, 1-866-927-4587. So here's another story that leaves me really, really cold. And I'm doing some research on this, and I'm going to be having more about this in the next couple of days. And I think it's so sad. I'm just going to give you my gut reaction to this. The Link transportation card holders are going to be suffering with no transportation because they're running out of money to subsidize the program. And basically, it's a ride subsidy program that helps senior citizens and also people with disabilities, etc., that it helps them get around the community. Well, it's running out of money, and the people, like I said, the seniors and people with disabilities are going to be suffering for it. And I had to stop right there when I heard about this, and I was absolutely, really riled up. Because here we have money, supposedly, to pay for all the frivolous things in our society. We have the money, supposedly, to welcome open arms to refugees and others coming into our country that are absolutely going on our welfare programs and taking money on the dole for their housing, their food, etc. But we can't keep a program going that would make sure that our seniors and those with disabilities can't get around possibly to the doctor's office, the dentist's office, maybe can't go to get groceries. What kind of a doggone rotten society are we living in? I am going to do all I can on this program to embarrass a lot of people, maybe even some in our legislature, to find the money to make sure that this link, the Living Independence Network Corporation, does not run out of funds to help people get around our society. If we can come up with money to study hamsters running on a treadmill, or the sex life of angleworms, we darn sure can find the money to subsidize this program for people that are in need. Absolutely in need. And I dare anybody to argue that point with me. Bring it on. 436-2244, 1-866-927-4587. Merry Christmas wishes. I want to get this on here. From AMI, 719 Overland in Burley with a big 28-foot wrench over the... That is a big wrench. I'm not kidding you. And they say at AMI, you'll go nuts over their bolts. Absolutely. Alan, Corey, Eric, and Rob and the rest of the crew wish you a very Merry Christmas from AMI, 719 Overland in Burley. Also, Merry Christmas wishes from Streamline Precision, 120 South, 100 West of Burley. I'll tell you what, these are really good people, and you can save on steel buildings with their expertise in manufacturing and contracting. Streamline Precision has everything you need under one roof. Grain bins, commodity storage, dairy barn, manufacturing and construction. I'll tell you, they do it all at Streamline Precision, 678-9204. And last but not least, our friends at Golden Valley Warehouse, 468 West, 1000 South of Burley. And they want to let all their customers know how much they appreciate them and wish you a very Merry Christmas. And those are our Christmas wishes for this half hour. You know, I am going to talk to the representatives and the senators, and I'm going to find out why that money is being cut off. The federal government, you know, that just irritates me. If the feds are cutting off that money, all the waste, all the idiocy that they take our money for, and then when it comes to helping seniors or those with disability and physical challenges, oh, well, we haven't got the money. If you need to go to the grocery store, you're on your own. If you need to go to the doctor, you can stand out there and hitchhike. That's lunacy. And I, for one, am going to do everything I can to help that program. I really, really am. We all should be outraged as to how this government waste money on frivolous, stupid, juvenile programs. And then they cancel the funding for something like this. Brother. Okay, coming up next hour, we have Representative Fred Wood, dear friend of this program. I'm going to mention that to Fred, too. And he's going to be talking to us about terror and refugees in the state of Idaho, and also the Medicaid problem in the state. And then also at 10:30 this morning, Ryan Morrow. You've heard him on this program many times in the past. He is a well-known national expert on terrorism, where we are, what we need to be concerned about, and what's happening. He's going to be on at 10:30. So we got a lot of good things coming up for the rest of the morning right here on Zeb at the Ranch. Don't forget, you're listening to Zeb at the Ranch. Make sure you're hearing everything. Contact Mount Harrison Audiology for a hearing screening. Call them today at 312-0957. Right now, let's go to the news from CBS. Oh, Merry Christmas! Merry Christmas, and welcome back to hour number 3. Boy, it looks like Christmas out there this morning, too. Welcome to Zeb at the Ranch. I'm Zeb Bell with our major sponsor, your Magic Valley Les Schwab Tire Centers, all 7 locations. Merry Christmas from them to you, along with our dear friends at Western Way Services, always at your disposal. Call, get on the route service today, 734-6969. Let's take a look here real quick at what's going on as far as the special is concerned today at the Chadwick Sports Grill. Oh, I love this. Texas chili over white rice. No energy shortage this afternoon. Texas chili over white rice served with salad for just $8.95. Oh, good eating all the time with the specials and the menu choices at the Chadwick Sports Grill, 139 West Main in Burley. Today, warm up Texas chili. Oh, that sounds good at the Chadwick. By the way, also, let's remind you that on Thursdays we have a program called School Days in Cassia County, brought to you by A Child's World at 1308 Overland in Burley, and they've got all the family games for Christmas and the puzzles and the books, and they're 25% off. And don't forget, too, they've got winter clothing 25% off. Oh, my, you better get in there. Locally owned and operated. A Child's World, 1308 Overland in Burley, along with Ambulatory Surgery Center at 1344 Highland in Burley. Number to call, 677-8888. For your outstanding outpatient surgeries, I'll tell you what, they are absolutely the best and save you money. Call today, 677-8888. Ambulatory Surgery Center and A Child's World, bringing you School Days in Cassia County. Right now, a very dear friend of this program, and I got to tell you, we should be really proud of our legislators, especially a man like this. He's done a lot for the state of Idaho. Representative Fred Wood, good morning and Merry Christmas.
Good morning to you, Zeb. How are you doing?
Right now, it looks like I'm almost snowbound over here. How's it in Burley right now?
It's snowing pretty good and pretty good wind. So thank goodness for what it's putting down in the hills, huh?
Well, I'll guarantee you we need the moisture. I am a little concerned, though. My son and his family are on their way back towards Nampa from Elko, and they were going to stop in for lunch here today, so I certainly hope they can make it.
Well, I hope so, too, and good luck to them.
You know, you are just literally weeks away from the next 2016 legislative session. Bring us kind of an overview of what you think is going to happen this year.
Well, both the Speaker and the Pro Tem have vowed and stated publicly numerous times that we're going to have a short session. They really want to be gone, if possible, by the 18th of March, and at the latest by the 25th of March. And I think we will get that done. It's an election year, and it certainly needs to get done. I think that the most important issue that's going to come up is education. There are still several unresolved issues, Zeb, with education, such as a career ladder, etc., that need to be implemented or passed by the legislature. There's an interim committee that is working on that, and they will have several proposals in front of the legislature to work on. So that, I think, is going to be the first. There are several interim committees out. I'm not sure that any of them have mature proposals yet to bring forward. With respect to water, the last major issue that has not been litigated through the courts are actually before the courts now. So I don't anticipate any major water legislation this year, because that needs to mature, go through the SRBA court and then on to the Supreme Court before we know whether or not any water legislation needs to occur. With respect to health care, Director Armstrong has come up with an initial first step to try to cover that gap population, and I think that is worth looking at. You know, Zeb, even if all of a sudden today all 78,000 of those people had some kind of an insurance policy, the problem is that they don't know where to go, they don't know what doctor to go to, et cetera, et cetera. And just a brief overview of the director's proposal is to literally use the federally qualified health centers, of which there's about 65 to 70 in the state, and the rural health clinics, which we have about 40 at last count, if memory serves me correctly, as a place to get all of those patients started and get their primary care paid for. Doesn't pay for hospitalizations and emergencies and stuff like that, but at least it gets them all started in the right direction, finds them a medical home, gets all of their primary care for them, etc. So I imagine that we'll take a look at that. And then we will have 5 or 6 areas of social legislation that is going to consume almost all of the headlines. When it comes to this legislative session and you start reading about the headlines and your legislators, believe nothing you read, believe nothing you hear, and only half of what you personally observe. Because there's going to be gun legislation, there's going to be Planned Parenthood legislation, there's going to be abortion legislation, there's going to be refugee Muslim legislation, there's going to be mental health legislation prohibiting this, that, and the other. There's going to be the gauntlet of social legislation that some people just simply want to fight over. But that's a brief overview of what I see happening, Zeb, and hopefully it's going to be short, and we get back home and we do right by the taxpayers. One last thing is the state budget looks in excellent shape, and we do have a surplus. We're running at about 4%, and we'll make sure that we don't spend that, but in fact save that for a rainy day.
All right, Fred, let me ask you this. You mentioned about these social legislative issues, and you mentioned about all the hoorah that's going to be out in front of the people, and a lot of it, most of it won't be true, etc. There'll be a lot of that's bright lights in big city, but no truth to it. How do the people really find out the truth as to what's going on? I mean, how is that going to be discerned so they can follow what's going on in the legislative session?
Thanks for asking, because I've had several people ask that in the last week. And Scott and I and Kelly have talked. Now, last year, we put out a newsletter on a weekly basis, typically a 2-page newsletter. We're going to put that on steroids this year. We all have a Facebook account. We're going to put that on our Facebook accounts. We're going to put it on the Chamber website. We're going to do various things like that so that the newsletter that will typically come out on a Thursday or a Friday from the three of us, which we're going to pay for ourselves out of our own pocket to get this out. And we will touch on that and try to keep everybody back here in Legislative District 27 informed as to what the real issues are, what they need to pay attention to, and what we think people are just unnecessarily fighting about. So that's our plan to bring that back. Secondly, Zeb, one of us will come on your program once a week if you will have us on.
Absolutely.
And sit for at least a half an hour, and I'd be willing to stay for more, providing it's a day when unfortunately I have committee meetings starting at 9 o'clock every morning, but I could come on at 8:30 or come on at 8, and the others can too, and just talk about what is going on up there.
Good.
Give everybody a sense of, at least from our perspective, what the real issues are and what all of this other fighting is about, which is going to occur.
Let me ask you this, Fred, and I just received this information last week, on Friday, as a matter of fact, and I called the Living Independence Network Corporation, and then I had another gentleman send me a note by the name of Edward Hay over in Hayburn. I hope he's listening. And the link is running out of money. They don't have the subsidies to help provide for senior citizens and those with physical challenges money to get around to doctors' offices, etc. And my comment last hour was, we've got frivolous money in the federal government for seeing how many miles a hamster can run on a treadmill, but we can't help our seniors or those with disabilities. What's going on here?
Well, this is the first I've heard of that particular, I don't know. But you're right, in terms of government waste, particularly the federal government, there's huge amounts of it. And we certainly ought to be trying to figure out how we can channel that to particularly our seniors and our disabled population that simply can't do that. And I'd be willing to talk to you at a later point in time where I can get some particulars, and if you would send me those particulars, etc., and that obviously would be state business to try and figure out how to do that. So you can send it on the state email, that kind of information, and then I can get back to you and figure out what we can and can't do.
All right,
but
very
your
good.
Observation about waste, that's 110% spot on.
Amen. Now, Fred, I want to ask you and go back a little bit to health care. With the implementation of Obamacare, and you as a former physician, and you know all about what was trying to be imposed and what now is imposed, are we seeing more limited access like we thought we would thanks to Obamacare? Is it becoming tighter and tighter for people to try to take care of themselves?
Well, the big access problem is still the people who, that gap population that gets no benefit at all from Obamacare.
Right.
And that's because Medicaid in Idaho has not been expanded. And, to expand typical Medicaid like the way it was, Idaho has not done it. We're trying to figure out how to do it and get our plan approved by the feds so that we can actually then take the tax money that we're paying and bring it back to Idaho and implement that program. But so far, we've not been able to get them to buy on to any plan that would be acceptable to us. Hence Armstrong's first step out the chute here to try to do that. Zeb, with the Affordable Care Act, this is what needs to be done to the Affordable Care Act. It needs to be broken into its multiple components. And then some of those components need to be flat repealed. Mm-hmm. Some of those components need to be tweaked just a little bit. The ones that need to stay and be tweaked a little bit are the patient protection, the consumer protection components, like pre-existing conditions, etc., and all of the traditional things that insurers used to try and do. The part that reformed the health insurance industry, that we need to keep that. That is not what's really wrong with the Affordable Care Act. Some of the others and some of the taxes, etc., is what's wrong with the Affordable Care Act. And some of those parts need to be repealed. And some of them need to be amended dramatically. But some of it needs to be kept. And I wish somebody would get together back there and do that, and it would help Americans then.
Absolutely. Fred, as you know, you and I were on the telephone the other day, and we discussed this briefly, but right now, regardless of any state in the United States of America, they all are being warned that there possibly could be some terrorist act in that state. Idaho is no exception. And right now, I said on this program many, many times that it's time to take a deep breath, stop, look at the refugees that are coming into this country. We need to find out more about their backgrounds. When you hear FBI and Homeland Security people saying they haven't got a clue as to who these people are or what they represent, I personally am against the refugee program as it coming in carte blanche right now to let anybody and everybody in, and also the costs. Automatically, these people go on a welfare program that is paid by the United States taxpayer, and I, for one, would like to say, wait a minute. I'm not trying to sound bigoted, but we've got to look at what's happening with our own people here first.
Well, first of all, my comments, Zeb, the refugee program is a politically based asylum program. It doesn't have anything to do with the immigration program.
Right.
The immigration program is supposed to be economically based, et cetera, et cetera. So my brief comments today will be limited to the refugee program. from what I've heard the FBI say and what I've read what the FBI says, they seem to think that there's a very high probability that the refugee program around the world, not just from the Middle East, but around the world, there's a high probability that it's infiltrated to a significant level of people who are using that to come into this country to cause Americans harm. What I would do is, I think that the refugee program around the world, from every single country there is, needs to be temporarily suspended for 6 months to a year. And then I think the two things need to happen. The eligibility criteria for who a refugee is needs to be examined and revised. And I would limit it to strictly those people who, under significant threat of danger to themselves or death, have helped the United States, feeding us information, etc. You know, we had a lot of people in Iraq and Afghanistan who truly, at great risk to themselves and their families, helped the United States military and saved a lot of our soldiers' lives. A lot of them died because we couldn't get them out in time. The only thing they want to do is go to a safe place. They don't want money because money gets them killed over there. So we need a program that is strictly limited to those people around the world. It doesn't make any difference if it's the Middle East, Asia, China, wherever they're coming from. But if they help us, then we need to move them to a location. We need to vet them thoroughly, and then they can be allowed in, that group of people. And the other thing that needs to happen is that we need to have a vetting process that has nothing to do with the United Nations or anybody else, and a vetting process that we can thoroughly rely on as making sure that bad people don't come into this country.
Amen.
That's the way I would run it.
Amen.
You really need a refugee program, but it needs to be limited, in my opinion, to those people who are willing to help us, period.
Absolutely. Now, Fred, I know a lot of listeners, they've called me in the past, and I'm sure that they're probably going to call me again after this segment, and they're going to say, hey, you know, I've got a question for Representative Wood, and I'd like him to bring it up at the legislative session, or I'd like him to address it or whatever. How can people get a hold of you to let you know about their cares and concerns?
Okay. Here is my state email address, and that is state business, so they can certainly contact me on my state email address. And it's very simple. This is all lowercase. It's fwood, F-W-O-O-D, at house.idaho.gov.
Okay.
And the next is my cell phone number, which I answer 24 hours a day, 7 days a week, is 312-1056.
Okay.
Again, 312-1056. And I'll be happy to talk to anybody, anytime.
Well, you all
promise that I can always help you, but I can certainly listen to you, and if I can help, I'll certainly try.
You know, and the fact that he just said about call anytime on that cell phone number is really true. You'll even answer it when you're on the treadmill.
I do. I even answer it when I'm up deer hunting once in a while if I'm on a mountaintop where there's cell phone range.
Absolutely. Representative Fred Wood, a dear friend and a great legislator for the state of Idaho. Merry Christmas to you and your family, and thank you so much for coming on the show this morning.
Merry Christmas, and God bless them to you and all your listeners.
Thank you very, very much. Thank you.
You bet. Bye-bye.
We are, in my opinion, very blessed to have legislators that you can talk to, you can discuss things with, you can go over your problems, or you can go over the pluses, whatever you want to do. But I highly suggest that if anybody has anything that they'd like discussed at the next legislative session, all you have to do, fwood at house.idaho.gov, or you can call him at 312-1056. Representative Fred Wood, very, very good man. Thank you very much. Let's get some Merry Christmas wishes on right now, shall we? Merry Christmas from the Goodie Shop at 133 West Main in Burley. Number to call 647-0106. Are you having a hard time deciding what to get your boss or maybe some of your coworkers? Well, there you go. How about a basket full of cookies or fruit for Christmas from the Goodie Shop? 133 West Main in Burley, 647-0106. Also, Merry Christmas wishes from Magic Valley Irrigation, 44 East, 500 South of Burley. And they'd like to say to all the area farmers and ranchers, thank you for everything you've done with business with Magic Valley Irrigation. Jeff and the crew wish you a very Merry Christmas. And from our dear friends, and they are, over at the Minnecasia Chamber of Commerce, my goodness, they're located at 1177 7th Street in Hayburn. Number to call 679-4793, right there on the Snake River. And Kay and the whole crew, along with a great, great gift shop over there. They've got a lot of unique Christmas presents right there at the Minnecasia Chamber of Commerce, wishing you and yours a very Merry Christmas. All right, let's see what else have I got cooking here. I want to remind you that coming up in just a very few moments, we're going to have the interview with Ryan Morrow, and of course, he is going to be on talking about terror in this country, a very, very well-known expert on that subject. I want to remind you, too, that on Wednesday, don't forget, this week Wednesday, day after tomorrow, we're going to be over at Denny's Restaurant, 611 Overland in Burley for the entirety of my broadcast, all 3 hours. Denny's Old-Fashioned Merry Christmas. Zeb at the Ranch, we're going to be there with the Burley High School Choir carolers singing Christmas carols and door prizes and Santa Claus and Loot in the Boot for the needy families and singer Ken Mort. Oh, it's going to be great. Everybody try to stop over on Wednesday morning. They're going to have some breakfast specials and some luncheon specials on the menu. Oh, and we're going to be giving away a lot of door prizes. Do not miss it at Denny's on Wednesday morning. Okay? Got you covered. Without further ado, I think we're going to send this back over to our main studios. And we did have some people call here and say the roads are really, really getting slippery, so please drive with care out there this morning, folks. Please slow down, don't tailgate, and watch what you're doing. We'll be back in about 3 minutes on Zeb at the Ranch.
And now, back to Zeb at the Ranch on AM 1230 KBAR. To reach Zeb, call 436-2244 or toll free 1-866-927-4587. And now, here is Zeb Bell.
On this program, we always try to get the very best qualified people on this show with the topics and the best of information and explain what their position is. This man right now has been on this show many times in the past, and I absolutely look to him for information about terror and our protection, and that's Ryan Morrow. Good morning, Ryan. How are you?
Good morning. I'm doing well. Thanks for having me on.
You know, by the way, I should say, how's everything after the surgery? Healing up and you're on the mend, or what's going on?
Yeah, I healed up fine from that, and then I got mega sick a few days ago, but then just started feeling well enough today, just in time to do your show.
Well, God's blessings to you, and I certainly hope things go better closer to Christmas, but I'm so thankful that you're on this program, and you are seen on many, many national broadcasts, and your opinion is really respected and appreciated. I'm just going to ask you real blunt, Ryan, is this administration naive? Is this administration stupid, or is it a combination? Why won't they acknowledge terror like other countries are?
I really think it's a combination of both, with the majority of it just being naivete. I mean, you just look at the simple pattern here. You had President Obama referring to ISIS and then other al-Qaeda affiliates as the JV team, and then very shortly after that, ISIS takes over a third of Iraq, a third of Syria, declares a caliphate. You had President Obama saying that ISIS was contained, and then just days later, actually it might have just been hours, you had the Paris attacks. Then shortly after that, you had John Kerry saying that they had successfully neutralized Al-Qaeda, especially their leadership, and then they carried out a major attack in Mali. I'm starting to get scared every time they talk about what they brag about what they're doing, because it seems like the opposite then happens within hours.
You know, when you say that, Ryan, and again, with your expertise, you work with this every day. Tell my audience, what are your fears on a 1 to 10 scale after this San Bernardino attack and all the rumors and rumblings that there is a possibility that ISIS may have members in all 50 states? On a 1 to 10 scale, where are we right now?
If the 1 to 10 scale is on whether ISIS has members in all 50 states, I would put it at a 9. Because if you think about it, that's not that many members. You don't need to have too many supporters in order to achieve that. The question is whether they're going to be successful at accomplishing an attack. For your average ISIS supporter, they're going to want to still join the caliphate. They want to see the caliphate with their own eyes. They view it as paradise on earth, history in the making. But then if they believe that the chances are low that they're able to make it there, that they'll be arrested at the airport, then they're going to try to carry out an attack here. And the likelihood of that happening again, even by the end of this year, I would say is more likely than not.
When you look at the husband and wife team of killers, Muslim killers, the Farouks, and you look at the planning, and you look at the armaments, and you look at the money that was exchanging hands, and all the sinister behind-the-scenes spiderweb transactions, this could happen anywhere, and I'm almost assured that it's probably in the planning stages right now for another attack, is it not?
No, it has to be. Has to be in two different ways. It can come from the form of what I think is falsely called homegrown terrorists, those that are currently living in the United States. They were either born here or they came over here, became citizens, and became radicalized, and they are plotting. And we know from congressional reports and just from my own counterterrorism sources that they just do not have the resources to keep track of all the extremists planning things like that. It just doesn't exist. They go after the ones they think are the most likely to actually try to commit an attack soon, and that's where their focus is. And then there's the second form of attack, which is where they actually dispatch operatives from a place like Iraq or Syria to the target country, and those are more coordinated. That would be like what you saw in Paris. I don't really think it makes much of a difference. The media likes to focus a lot on whether this is the so-called lone wolf, again, a term that I think is misleading, or whether it's a actual terrorist attack, as they might call it, coming from overseas. But that's not how this is. The threat here is ideological, and you are just as much a member of ISIS, whether you are living in your parents' basement declaring allegiance to them, or whether you are currently in one of their training camps in Syria undergoing training.
There was a very good point made this last week by Catherine Herridge at Fox News, and she's a good friend of mine. And had the lady in San Bernardino, the neighbor, had said something without the fear of reprisal because of non-political correctness, maybe this attack could have been stopped. What would you tell my audience about see something, say something, and really don't care about being called a bigot or a hate monger?
Yes, that's one of the biggest things to come out of this attack that I think just really needs to be told over and over again, because it's now not just one neighbor. We've heard of several neighbors that saw strange guys going into that garage, which we now know was a bomb factory. It was there to create bombs and to carry out additional attacks. And people did not want to report it because they said they didn't want to be accused of racial profiling, being bigots, because they couldn't look inside and see that there were bombs, but all of their senses were going off saying that there's something weird and ugly about this, but they didn't have courtroom evidence to where they could get someone prosecuted. So why go to the authorities? Why put yourself at risk for something like that? And then also there's a lot of people that try to take comfort in saying, well, if I know about it, I'm sure the FBI knows about it. And that's the excuse that they take in order to not take action. And what I would say is take that action. It's very rare that your name actually leaks out, that someone gives an anonymous tip to law enforcement, to the FBI or to local police, and then they find out that you actually said something. So if something's making your senses go off like that, ask yourself if there's something substantive to it. Don't just, anytime you're feeling uneasy, send it in. But if there's something substantive to it, not only should you report it, but keep tabs on it. Be a source for the authorities on it, and keep a watch on it, because you are the first line of defense.
Ryan, you study this every day, like I said earlier, but when you look at this administration and the downplaying of anything to say or do negative about Islam or Muslims, etc., they are so protective of Islam. Why? If this were a group of Methodists or Baptists or Lutherans, they'd probably come after them and they wouldn't mind the verbiage. Why are we so protective of Islam?
The administration's argument, and it's obviously one that I think is crazy, is that every time you put the word Islam, Muslim, or Islamic in your vocabulary in discussing conflict, that you are giving legitimacy to the terrorists, that you are saying that they are accurate in their Islamic interpretations, and you're feeding their worldview that it's a conflict between all of Islam against all of the non-Muslim world. But I've got news to you. President Obama is not Mullah Obama. It's not like he's an Islamic preacher, so what he says doesn't make that much of a difference in that regard. And it would be better for him to just speak clearly and say, look, this is coming from an interpretation of Islam. And he actually, in his last speech on terrorism, went much further than he has in the past, and not many people noticed it. He did say that there is an extremist threat that is unique and coming from the Muslim world, and that the Muslim world has to, without any equivocation, condemn not just the violence, but the interpretations of religious intolerance that provoke the violence. He actually said that. So I can't believe it took this long for him to get there, but I'm glad that he did.
You know, we're in the middle of a big rush for the presidency in 2016, and Donald Trump said last week in very blunt terms, whoa, stop the Muslims from coming into the United States. Okay, his verbiage was very blunt. It was very harsh. However, there have been a lot of people that have warned us, Comey with the FBI, McCall with Homeland Security, that now is the time more so than ever to put the brakes on. We don't know the backgrounds of these people, and there has been an infiltration of ISIS into the refugee program. What are your thoughts?
My thoughts is that there's a very reasonable middle ground here, and there's a lot of shouting going on both sides. There's the one side that says the system is very thorough, and anyone that's calling for major changes or a halt in the refugees or declining the number that are coming in are bigots. And then there's the other side that's saying shut it down and don't allow any Muslims in. And I think both are to the detriment of our national security. And the reasonable middle ground here is a complete overhaul and review of how we let people in and how we vet them. And the best example of that is that we now know that this couple that committed the attack in California were on social media talking about their love of jihad and their intent to commit it. And before she even got that visa to come over here. So reviewing social media is not part of the vetting process. That's a very, very common sense thing that we should be doing across the board for who we give visas to, who we let into the country. And so I would argue that we need an ideologically based vetting system across the board, and let whoever in that we can accommodate through that system. It might take a little bit longer. That might mean less people come in. But that's the only safe way to do it. And it's also how you identify allies. If you have an ideologically based vetting system, then you can identify the type of people who would actually be informants for the FBI, who would be political activists against radical Islam, who could come over to the United States. And that way we bring over more of the good guys, and we bring over less of the bad guys. And so that's the middle ground that I think is the best.
Ryan, also, this president is absolutely bent on closing Guantanamo Bay. And I really, pardon me, I don't have the knowledge that you have, but here is a facility that is surrounded by oceans and deserts in Cuba. It's a prime place to keep these people that want to kill the rest of the world. And he wants to close it down and either give safety to these people going back to their homeland, or take the really bad ones and put them in federal prisons, which I think is insane. Your thoughts?
I'd like to just know how he's going to do it. Which state is going to hold these people? Who is going to want to undertake the risk and the cost of that? And so far, that's the problem that's facing it. And just another individual who was released showed up in an Al-Qaeda video for their branch in Yemen, which is one of their most lethal branches that remain. It's like the Al-Qaeda branch in Yemen and the Al-Qaeda branch in Syria are the two biggest ones. So we've seen the result of this time and time again, that whenever they end up getting released, we give them to a third country, somehow they end up back in the ranks of the terrorists.
One final thought here this morning, Ryan, and I really appreciate these remarks. You know, my audience, my area, and people that I talk to all across the United States, yes, we're scared. We're a little bit worried. We're tentative about going into a mall. We're tentative about gatherings with a large number of people. What would you tell my audience as to what they can do to be more aware of their surroundings?
Honestly, it really does just coming down to just having it on your mind a little bit. Just like when you go to a large crowd or you go into somewhere where you could get pickpocketed or someone might assault you, you just have that slight level of alertness, and you don't let it terrify you. There's a difference between being vigilant, which is the right way to react to a threat of terrorism or any threat, and then there's the act of being terrified. And that would be not going to a shopping mall because there's some chance it might get attacked by a terrorist. That's when they win. But they don't win when we're vigilant, and when we keep our eyes open, and when we throw political correctness in the garbage. And if you suspect that something funky is going on in your neighbor's garage that may or may not be a bomb factory, then you report it.
I just want to say thank you so much for your thoughts. I look forward to seeing you on TV and having you on my program, and I want to extend the very best for better health and also a very Merry Christmas. Ryan Morrow, thank you so much this morning.
Thank you so much. Merry Christmas.
All right, take care. Thank you. There is an individual that really understands what's going on in this country with terrorism. And I just watched him on Fox News the other day, and he's had his share of problems with some surgery. And then, like he said, he hasn't been feeling too good lately. But I appreciate him getting up off of his sick bed and coming on the program this morning. Ryan Morrow, back on the East Coast. Thank you very much. Right now, it is time for the weather, and the weather is brought to you by Scarro's Meats. 331 North Road, Jerome. The number to call, 324-7657. They've got what they call the Harvest Bundle. Listen to this. Beef like chuck roast and 8 New York strip steaks. Oh, and then pork with the boneless Boston butt roast and the 8 boneless pork chops and the bacon, a pound package, and the chicken, 1 whole chicken and leg quarters. 32 pounds of meat for just $79 plus tax. Oh, and it's all guaranteed, and it's delicious at Scarro's Meats. Don Scarrow and the rest of the crew serving you at Scarro's Meats, 324-7657. And right now, here's Gina with the weather.
We are in a winter weather advisory up until 5 o'clock tomorrow morning. That means snow showers are in the forecast, plus with the wind, that means drifting snow. With all of the rain showers last night, it did create black ice conditions, so please just be careful out there. We are expecting anywhere between 1 and 5 inches of snow today. High of 31, overnight low of 21. Tomorrow, winds dying down just a little bit. We might see some sunshine, high of 27 with an overnight low of 19. Mostly cloudy and 30 for Wednesday, and more snow showers are expected for Thursday. Yesterday's high was 42, and the overnight low was 30. Not your weather for Zebeth the Rain.
Thank you very much, Gina. Brought to you this hour by Scarro's Meats. 331 North Road, Jerome. They guarantee everything they sell. Don't forget, 324-7657, Scarro's Meats. Caller, good morning. You are on the air. Thank you for your call.
Oh, yeah, that last guy you talked to and all the others on the same subject, you always ask them, what can we do to keep ourselves safe? And none of them ever say, go armed.
That's not true. I have had some guests, I think last week, and I had one that absolutely believed in the gun ownership and also taking the gun certification and concealed weapons permits. And I've advocated that on this program a lot, my friend. You've heard me over the last couple of months really push for that.
Because Well, I guess I haven't been listening at the right times then, because I haven't heard one of them say that yet.
Well, I'll tell you what, in reference to what you just said, and it's a good time for me to reiterate this, whenever I have done the Reds Trading Post ad, I have said, quote, it is now past time and a prime time for people to get their concealed weapons permit and know and understand the purchase of firearms. I think it's absolutely a prime time. All right?
Because that's really the only thing we can do to protect ourselves.
Well, that, and then, it is true. Be aware of your situation. Be aware of what's going on around you. Report it to the authorities, and once it's reported, stay on them like a cat to a plate of milk to make sure they do something. All right?
Because, the police are 2 minutes away, but the danger is seconds away.
Well, that's not really true either. The police might not be 2 minutes away. They might be 30 minutes away, or in the case of a rural area or whatever, they might be 45 minutes to an hour away. And we all have to be cognizant of what we can do to protect ourselves and our family. All right, sir.
Exactly. Anyway, that's what I wanted to say.
All right, sir. Thank you very much. Appreciate it. Just to reiterate another point on that, and I have said that I don't know how many times on this program, and I've taken some criticism over it, which is fine with me. It's like water off my back, really. I don't care about that criticism. Yes, I believe you need to be the first line of protection for yourself, your family, and your property. Yes, I do. And that's not going to be with a slingshot either. And so I have advocated on this program many, many times about you learning and purchasing a firearm. Know about it, know how to use it, know the ins and outs about it, get a certified class, get your concealed weapons permit, etc., etc., etc. I believe in it, and I'm going to advocate it on this program. Calls are welcome, 436-2244, 1-866-927-4587. Give me a jingle. I'd like to wrap it up with your calls today, so give me a call. Merry Christmas wishes from Pump Service, 103 West, 500 South of Burley. The Baker Boys, these are good guys. And from residential and commercial wells, water softeners, Sandpoint systems, everything with Pump Service. They wish you and yours a very Merry Christmas from Pump Service. Pickett Equipment Company. I've known these people for almost 40 years. Really good people at 976 East Main in Burley. And now they started off as a real small farm equipment company, and they're shipping company equipment now all over the world. My goodness, have they expanded. Pickett Equipment Company, 678-0855, wishing you and yours Merry Christmas. As does Vicky's Country Gardens, 185 South, 600 West of Paul. Hey, a great Christmas gift-giving idea. Get a gift certificate for next spring and summer gardening. Yeah, buddy, at Vicky's Country Garden. You stop over and see her. Call 431-5667. And last but not least, Quality's Electronics. Oh, Bruce and the whole crew. My goodness, their great big Christmas sale prices are going on right now. The best deals on HD TVs, Blu-ray players, home theater systems, and more. And their hours have been extended for Christmas. 9 to 7 Monday through Friday, 9 to 6 on Saturdays. Save and have fun with the equipment for your home from Quality's Electronics, 1730 Kimberly Road in Twin. Merry, Merry Christmas. Whew. Give me a call, 436-2244, 1-866-927-4587. Hey, Wheels, I got to ask you a favor. Are you right there by your microphone?
Yes, sir.
Every day on this show, after I do my next Les Schwab spot, which will be coming up in just about 15 seconds, do you have another really, really good Christmas song that we can play leading up to the end of the program this morning? $2.75.
See, and I caught on to that once I said that.
That boy. And the reason the audience doesn't understand that, but every time you say I'm going to start charging him 25 cents, and it's now up to $2.75. I'm hoping that I can pay for my Christmas thanks to you.
And you'll be helping me get a lot better at my communication for radio.
You're a good man. Do you have a Christmas song for us?
I do. I Saw Mommy Kissing Santa.
Oh, that's a good one. Hang on, I'll do my commercial and then I'll send it over to you, okay?
Okay.
All right,
good.
stand by. Hey, don't forget our friends at your Magic Valley Les Schwab Tire Centers. All 7 locations wishing you and yours a very Merry Christmas. Oh, my goodness. I'll bet you they are swamped out there today trying to get all the tires changed, all the traction tires, you know, the studded tires, the tires with the special tread designs for the snow and the muck, and all the tire chains and the snow wheels. Oh, my goodness sakes, they've got it all. And they've got a super service staff at all 7 locations to take care of you, whether it's the tires, whether it's the brake service, alignment, shocks and struts, batteries, it's all there. All there at all 7 locations of your Magic Valley Les Schwab Tire Centers. Lane and Rupert, Dave on Blue Lakes and Twin, Mike and Buell, Mike and Jerome, the Twist family and Paul John on Poline in Twin Falls, and Randy the old Seahawk fan on Overland and Burley. The best at your Magic Valley Les Schwab Tire Centers. Hey, you're listening to Zeb at the Ranch. Make sure you're hearing everything. Contact Mount Harrison Audiology for a hearing screening. Call 312-0957. From our house to yours, as we play a little Christmas music, Merry Christmas. We'll see you tomorrow morning at 8:06.